Hello everyone and welcome to the Melbourne Traditionalists episode 52, the birthday edition. I'm Mark Moncrief from Upon Hope, and today I'm going to talk about the Melbourne Traditionalists podcast channel. And the first thing that I'm going to say is a question that I've been asked, and it's a very good one, is what happens if this channel gets deleted? Well, at the moment, I think I'm pretty small, so I'm probably they're not paying much attention to me. But at the same time, I did wonder when we started whether we'd actually even managed to stay on YouTube. And here we are, 52 episodes later, and we're still there. So I don't know. I'm also on Blogger. I've been on Blogger for 7 years, and I've never had any issues. So I don't know, is it what I'm saying? Is it that it's not that controversial? I don't know. If I disappear, then you'll know what happened. So what do you do if you want to still listen to the content and this channel disappears from YouTube? Well, there's two things that you can do. The first thing is you can go to Upon Hope, which is my blog. And there you'll be able to find out what's happened. The other thing is you can go to Podbean. Now, Podbean is a proper podcasting service. So you can just download your episodes there, and everything that I have recorded up to date, if it's available on YouTube, within 24 hours, it will be up on Podbean. So everything that has been recorded, all the episodes with David Hiscock, all the episodes I've done myself, all the daily content, that's all there on Podbean. So you can just go there and listen to your heart's content. So today what I want to talk to you about is some of the things that are behind the scenes in putting together this podcast. You know, it's always a big question. Are you going to get an audience? Is it worthwhile actually spending your time in front of a microphone, in front of a computer, actually recording things and putting it out? And you know, sometimes I say, yeah, it is. It's really good. And other times I think to myself, wow, the numbers are really low. And maybe I should have done this many years ago when it was much more conducive, when there was less censorship around. But at the same time, I didn't have access to the equipment. And in the last 12 months, I have had access to it. So I've taken advantage of it. And the thing that's always true, whether you're writing, whether you're recording, is you just don't know who's listening. You don't know how influential your voice, so to speak, is. And sometimes I hear things that I've written said back to me, and I'm pretty happy with that. You know, it means that I'm not just shouting into the void. And that's the big issue that we all have. Every writer, everyone on YouTube, Podbean, what have you. You know, we're all worried about, is there any point to all of this? And as I said, I go up and down. I do go up and down, and sometimes I have said, you know, I should stop doing this. It's I don't think that I'm getting the return for the effort that I'm putting in. But then at the same time, you know, I read some of the comments and I'm like, hey, people are paying attention, and the comments are really great. It's really great to read the comments, and just to know that people are appreciating the work that's being put in. Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank the people who have helped me with the podcast. Unfortunately, because of this stupid COVID-19 panic, which seems to become more panic-filled every day, I've had to do the podcast by myself. And you know, when David Hiscock, I asked David Hiscock to do the podcast with me, and he said yes instantly. And, without him, even though the technology is here, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it because, I had done something like this. I had for a few months hosted a community radio program about 15 years ago. And that was fun. But this was different. And this was more focused, more talking just about politics. And I guess we've also covered a lot about culture as well. But David gave me that confidence to actually come in here and, hey, if I was making an idiot of myself, well, so was David. So that was actually a great comfort. It's better to be a pair of idiots than be one by yourself. But, to be honest, I think we've actually done pretty good. And I'm pretty proud of what we have achieved. Some episodes are better than others. That's how all of life is. Everything's, you have better days than others. And sometimes things that you think work don't quite work, and other things that you think, we'll just bring it up as an aside, and it takes over the whole program. But without David Hiscock, this program wouldn't be here. So thank you very much, David. As I said, it wouldn't be here without you. Another person who helped me out a bit was Mark Richardson from Oz Conservative. Now, he helped me out very early in the piece, so I think about episode 10 or so, and he actually came in and we did 3 episodes all together talking about liberalism and the things that the Melbourne Traditionalists talk about a great deal. And I have really wanted to get him back onto the program and to talk about a lot of those issues, but he's a very busy man, and that hasn't worked. And there are other people that I've hoped to get onto the program, but because of the stupid panic, that hasn't happened. But there are also people behind the scenes, people who have helped me with the technical aspects, because I'm not a boomer, but I am boomer tech. And that goes for David Hiscock as well. So we've actually relied on a number of people to help us with the technical side, and it's got a lot better. One problem that I have is I can't edit. So if I say something, I either have to leave it in or I have to delete it and start again. And when I'm doing the podcast, generally I can stop and start again, as in, I'm at this, nearly 8-minute mark now, so I can stop the program, go away and have a coffee, come back and start at 8 minutes again. Or I just have to keep going. So that is a limitation, and I've just had to live with that. Now, what I want to do is I want to talk about the actual channel and some of the stuff that I get to see behind the scenes that you guys have no idea about. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the views. So I'm just I've just got to wait for the computer to actually get to the right page. Here we go. So the most viewed episode is episode 1, 274. So a lot of people obviously checked in, and it's also the most liked episode. But then it fell away. All right. Well, I guess that happens. The second most viewed post is actually from the Melbourne Traditionalists conference last year, Why the Dissonant Right Needs E.F. Schumacher, which has 261 views. That was a really good talk, and I'm really glad that the guy who did it, who wants to remain anonymous, actually allowed us to record that and put that up. And actually, I'd encourage people to listen to that one. Then the third most listened to article is episode 2. 212 views. And then we have The Decline of Classical Music, which was episode 27, which had both Mark Richardson and David Hiscock and myself. I thought that was a really good episode. 206 views. But we also did an episode the same day. We recorded two. We recorded The Greatness of Classical Music. And that's got like half the views that the decline of classical music has. And, you know, if you're interested in classical music, or you think, hey, I'd like to give it more of a go, you should check out The Greatness of Classical Music, because both David and Mark put in a lot of links to some really good music there. And from there, it's all downhill. So the least watched of the podcasts currently is Corona Panic, which is the one from 2 weeks ago, episode 50. At the moment that I'm recording, it's got 41 views. So I'd imagine that will go up as by the time you listen to this. But, you know, 41 views isn't a lot of views. And then the second worst viewed is the feedback episode. So, you know, I had more than 100 people watch the episode that was based off, which was... oh, come on, I can't find it. I recorded the Black Pill episode, which is actually the 8th most watched program. And then the episode where I actually gave feedback is the second least watched of all the podcasts. It's only got 52 views. So that's 1/3 what the Black Pilled episode had. It's a bit of a strange one. But then I decided in early January, I thought, you know, we got into, you know, at the start we were a bit confused about when we should put the program up, and you know, sometimes it didn't quite work. And then at the start of January, we got into a good routine where we recorded an episode the week before, so we always were a week ahead. And that's actually, we've been able to maintain that. That's been good. It has had a problem in that current events are not as current when we talk about them as when they go to air. But I don't think that's been a massive issue. I think that it's much better that we get a consistent time that we actually become live. But although live has a different meaning on YouTube, doesn't it? But then in January, I decided, hey, you know, I've got 7 years of posts that I've got up on my site, Upon Hope, and I've always wanted to record them. I am recording. Why don't I start putting one up every day? And that will give me about 2 years worth of constant, every day something will go up. And so I started doing that, and I didn't announce it. I didn't tell anyone. I just did it, and maybe I should have eased people in. I don't know, but some people have really enjoyed it, and other people have not. You know, the least watched of the podcasts is 41 views, and the most watch of my daily episodes is 57 views. So, and that's social or left liberalism, which is one of the very first ones that I did. So, you know, they're not as popular as the podcasts, but I don't think that they really detract from the episode, from the channel, I should say. But there are some strange things, you know, things that are really, really popular on my site, my blog, Upon Hope, are not popular here, and there's no rhyme or reason. And I just put them up because if I had to pick winners, I'd be completely wrong. They're really all over the place. The least viewed currently of all the articles are the ones that are two that were published this week. So I'm just waiting for the page to load. Here we go. 2 movie reviews for Greater Glory and Machine Gun Preacher. At the moment, it's got 5 views. So that's the least viewed of anything on the channel. And then right next to it is the Sydney Siege and the Government's Duty to Us, which has 6 views. Now, I can understand people not being that interested in the movie reviews. They look at the titles and go, no, I'm not interested in those. But the Sydney Siege and the Government's Duty to Us, that's, even though it was written 5 years ago, it's actually still current. Everything there is current. And for whatever reason, people are like, oh yeah, whatever. But apart from that, well, there's one other that's 9 views, but apart from that, the least popular are 10 views, and there's actually 5 of them that are at 10. And again, I'm waiting for the computer to load. Sorry, I'm just going to have a drink. And then when I scroll down to the bottom of the page, I was just waiting for them to put them in order. I'll get the computer to do it instead of me. And, oh, come on. I'm on 16 views. I want to go to 10. It's, oh, no, it stopped at 11 views. Come on. All right, here we go. So there's 5... as I said, all on 10 views. Why do conservatives believe in different social classes? Marriage, love or stability. The discrimination of anti-discrimination. 5 of 20, the principle of hierarchy. And debt is king 2. Now, what's interesting about these is that 2 of these articles are amongst the most read on my site. Why do conservatives believe in different social classes is in the top 10. And it has been since it was written. But here it's got 10 views in 3 months. The discrimination of anti-discrimination used to be in the top 10. Now it's in the top 20 most read articles of all time. And here it's got 10 views in 3 months. But one that's even more surprising has 11 views. What is more important, the past, the present, or the future? And it was written back in 2014. So it's a pretty old article. But in the last 6 months, it's been read more than 500 times on my blog. And here it's got 11 views. How do you reconcile those 2 things? I've got no idea. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about was some of the analytics that they actually give, or they give me, that tell me about things on the background. So, I've got a place where I can see all the comments, and I do read the comments. I really appreciate the comments. Yeah, and the vast majority of them are really nice, are really good. Thank you for that. But where am I? The analytics. So the analytics tells me basically who's watching the site and how long they're watching it for, and things like that. But some of the things are a bit confusing. So basically, they say that this site has had 9,561 views over its lifetime. Now, it tells me how many people have come on each day and how long they've stayed on. And to be honest, that just makes it more confusing. It doesn't really help. So some of the information here, it tells me traffic sources, external, in the last 28 days. Portion of your total traffic, 10.7%. Well, what does that mean? Where's the internal traffic? Because it says in the external traffic, XYZ is where I get most of my traffic, 70%, 0.3% off 70%. And then the second is YouTube, which you would think would be internal traffic source because it's on YouTube, but that's 11%. But what's interesting is when I click on a list to see all of the sites, it doesn't have Upon Hope, my own site. And I know people have watched it from Upon Hope because they've left comments. Explain that. I have no idea. Engagement. And again, it just tells me how many people are watching it and for how long. It's a bizarre thing. It actually says to me that nobody has actually reached an end of my episode, of any of my episodes. And I know that's not true because people have commented on the very last thing that I've said in some of the comments. So it's some of the information is truly bizarre. But it says in the last 28 days that 66.5% of my audience has come from Australia, and that those people have watched 70% of everything that's been watched on my channel. And it's also saying that 60% of those who have watched are subscribers and 40% are not. Now, it also gives me some figures for the year. And it tells me where I get people from, where they come from. This is quite funny. This is geography. All right, so it's telling me that 58% of my audience in the last, since the channel started, is from Australia. 58%, and then it says that 0.9% and 0.9% are from the United States and the United Kingdom. So that's a pretty small portion. And then it says 0.4% from Canada. And then it says 0.1% from France. Well, 58 plus 0.9 plus 0.9 plus 0.4 plus 0.1 equals 60.3%. So where's the other 39.7% come from? Don't know. Just bizarre. On one page, it tells me that 38.4% of my viewers are between 35 and 44, and then 61.6% are between 45 and 54. So if you're under 35 or over 54, apparently you don't listen to my channel. Yeah. And then it tells me that 5.7% of my viewers are female. But on another page, it tells me that 100% of my viewers are male. Yeah, I don't get that either. So it says to me that it shows me every single day and how many people have looked at the site on any particular day. And the best day was the 1st of March this year. I had 164 views. But there were at least 3 days in 2019 where I had 0 views. The worst day this year is, I think, the 3rd of January, when I had, 2nd of January, when I had, 3rd of January, when I had two views. But everything's been uphill since then, which is a good thing. Now, this was interesting. They say that over the course of the channel's life, which is just over a year, I've had 196 subscribers. But at the moment, I have 166. So 30 people have unsubscribed. Some of those have not unsubscribed. So, for example, it says that I gained 9 others. And I lost all 9 others because that was a category that was on YouTube that no longer exists. So those people were unsubscribed. And actually, I don't think that's a bad retention rate. Although no episode gets anywhere near 166 views. So you wonder why people have subscribed. Accessing the information here. 58% do it from their computer, 31% from their mobile phone, 6.6% from their tablet, 1.9% from their TV, and 1.1% from their game console. If you add that together, that's 99%, but there's points, so it actually does equal 100. But it's I'm surprised that there are so many different ways. Maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe I'm just a bit too old to understand it all. But yeah, that's just different things, different bits of information. I don't know whether it's interesting or not. I hope it is. But I just wanted to let people know that, the plan is to continue and to keep working through this panic and keep putting up daily posts and every week putting up the podcast. That is the plan. People have supported me on Subscribestar, and I very much appreciate that. I finally reached the 5 current subscribers. So that means if anybody else subscribes, they'll actually be resubscribed each month. What's been happening is I've been getting to 4, and then someone will have reached their month, so they won't automatically be resubscribed. So I was just constantly playing catch up, and I finally said, no, I'm not going to allow that to happen anymore. And I put the hard word on some people who I knew were listeners, and got them to subscribe, and now hopefully that problem will be a thing of the past. But if you want to support the channel and the work that I'm doing here, you can go down to the description box below, and that will tell you about Subscribestar. Remember that if you come on here and the channel's not here, go to Upon Hope, my blog, or go to Podbean, and you can download everything that we've done there to listen to. And some people have said to me that now that Podbean's there, that's what they'll be doing. So I wouldn't be surprised if, at least temporarily, the numbers went down here, and people started listening to it on Podbean. Now, it's 27 minutes. I think I will leave it there. Thank you very much, and thank you for being with me for the first year of the Melbourne Traditionalists podcasts. And everything being equal, I will speak to you again next week. Look after yourself. Bye-bye.